Hello, everyone, and a big warm welcome. My name is Liesel Teversham, and I'd love to introduce you to a very accomplished friend of mine. I'm going to share a little bit about what she's done in her life, and then I'm going to ask her some questions to help us understand all the wonderful things that she talks about in her books. Rochelle Melander is a certified professional coach and the best-selling author of 12 traditionally published books, including Write-a-thon, write your book in 26 days and live to tell about it. I just love that. And Level Up, quests to master mindset, overcome procrastination, and increase productivity. She's worked in publishing for more than 20 years as an author, book editor, magazine editor, and writing coach. She offers tools and tips at her beautiful website, rightnowcoach.com. Rochelle, it's such a pleasure to welcome you.
Thank you. I'm so delighted to be here.
Awesome. And I'd love to dive right in and ask you to tell us a little bit about the journey you've had to get you to this point where you're doing the work that you love now.
Well, I've always been a writer. So I started writing books when I was probably 7 years old in second grade, writing these teeny weeny little picture books, and long stories and so forth. But when I got to college and graduate school, I started out my career as a minister. It was very clear right away that this was not my calling. It just did not work for me. What I did then with my career is start writing books for spiritual people and for people in spiritual communities. So one of those was A Generous Presence, Spiritual Leadership in the Art of Coaching. And as I started writing these books, I started getting known as the person who knew how to write books. And so I was writing books and editing books and talking about books, and people started asking me, well, how do I get published? How do I write a book? How do I overcome writer's block? And so after just coaching leaders and individuals around wellness and leadership for about 6 or 7 years, I launched Right Now Coach. So for the last 10 years, I've been mostly coaching people who want to write around things like productivity, writer's block, procrastination, and then of course the nuts and bolts of putting a book together and getting it published. Alongside this, since 2006, I've been teaching writing to children. So I went and got trained with something called the National Writing Project, which is a national organization that helps teachers use writing across the curriculum. So that means that a science teacher, a chemistry teacher might find a way to use writing. And so I go into libraries and schools and churches, community organizations, and primarily teach creative writing to kids. And it's been a wonderful help because I can bring all that information and tools to adults who are reluctant writers. And so it all kind of works together.
Wow, that is an amazing collection of skills and knowledge and experience and things that you've drawn from so many bits and pieces. I love that how unique that journey has turned out and how you're able to use that in your work today to help other people get their work published. Mm-hmm. So one of the ways you do that is to teach people how to blog a book. And I find that absolutely wonderful and fascinating. Please tell us about blogging a book.
Well, blogging is an amazing way to write a book for a lot of reasons. And I'm just going to talk about 3 of them. First of all, I think one of the things that people find the most challenging about writing a book is most of us are doing it without an editor breathing down our neck saying you must get the next chapter done. You know, we're writing it for ourselves, we're writing it to publish on our own, or we're writing it for our clients. And so there's nobody really asking for it. But if you blog, it gives you a publishing schedule so that every week at the same time, a portion of your book is due. You're going to publish a portion of your book and people are expecting it because once you're in the schedule that every Tuesday at 5 a.m. or every Thursday at noon, you publish a blog post, people expect it. So the first reason that blogging is a great way to write a book is it keeps you as the writer accountable. The second way it's a great way to write your book is that it allows you to test market your book idea. So most of us create our book ideas kind of in our heads, by ourselves, while out on a walk, so we're doing it kind of in isolation in our ivory tower, so to speak. But if we blog our book, then we can see what really engages our readers. And our readers will tell us what's engaging, what's exciting. And if they're not commenting, we know something's up. If they're not sharing, we know something's up. But when they are sharing and commenting and asking questions, we know we've tapped into something that's really useful. So we're test marketing our idea, and we're able to kind of tweak it and move it around so that our book becomes the most useful book possible. The third reason that blogging is a great way to write your book is it's a way to build excitement for your book right from the get-go. So you're starting to build your group of raving fans as you're blogging the book. And so you're getting excitement for the book, you're getting excitement for the ideas, and you're kind of, you're like showing your readers a bit of the product, and you're saying, wouldn't you love to have all of this together in one easy place where you could search it and cross-reference and all those things? And that's what you get, if you order my book. So I think because it gives accountability, because it gives an ability to test market, and because it builds excitement, blogging is just a really amazing way to get that book done and out there into the market.
I love what you're saying, because my first book that I wrote had this very open-ended, like, when will I ever finish it? There was just no big deadline looming. Nobody prompted me. It was just me and this writing process, and often it was very hard. So this feels like it's small doable steps towards a big goal that can feel very daunting and overwhelming.
Well, and that's what makes a goal doable, are those small steps. Anything big is going to make our brain freak out. And so it literally throws us into a panic attack. Whether it's, an actual panic attack where you're sweating and anxious, or it's just that kind of sense of, I am avoiding this at all costs because it's so terrifying to think of this big thing. So if you're not thinking about a big thing, if you're just writing a tiny little thing, like 500 words, it's not so big of a deal.
Yes, exactly. I love that. And I wonder if that's one of the, because I want to ask you about tips for procrastination and writer's block. Are there any things that you can share with us if some of our listeners are getting stuck on that?
Yes, this is one of my areas of expertise. I feel like I have worked with so many people who deal with this. Even though I'm super accomplished and tend to get a lot done, I procrastinate too. I've come up with writer's block too. So let me give you a few tips that I think are helpful. The first is figure out why. Writer's block is never just like a thing. I mean, I think we treat it as like a thing. It's like a thing that just shows up, like the flu or a virus. Writer's block just shows up, and it hurts us, and we're stuck, and it's our fault, or it's our fault. I find it's really helpful to work with clients in diagnosing their writer's block, because usually it's about something concrete. So it could be about a problem with the structure or tone of the piece. So, it's not that you're blocked, it's that the way you've organized the piece is not working, or the research is not working. Writer's block could just be feeling overwhelmed and distracted by various things in your life. So it's not that you're blocked and you can't write. It's that right now is not the best time to be writing. Or writer's block could be a habit that you've developed and you need to break. Or procrastination even can be a habit. It's a learned response to something difficult or challenging. Once you know what's going on, it's much easier to solve writer's block. And so that's why a lot of my work as a coach is about diagnosing, like just kind of picking apart and figuring it out. The second tool I give to people in terms of overcoming writer's block and procrastination gets at this diagnostic thing. I tell people to set themselves up for success. So what I say to people is treat your life like a science experiment, and look at your most productive writing sessions and figure out like what was going on. You know, collect the data. Were you alone? Were you with others? Were you in a perfectly quiet environment, or were you in a really loud environment? Was it a certain time of day? Did you have an assignment, or were you working on something independently? Were you online or offline? So look at all of the things that were going on, and also look at you, like what strengths were you using? I like people to really get connected, you know, with the fact that they're a big picture thinker, or a detail oriented thinker, or they're an idea person, or they like to explore history. So once people know kind of what works for them, then they can set themselves up for success, so they can kind of replicate the process. And that way they, in a sense, rather than coping with writer's block, they're avoiding writer's block, because they've made it possible for themselves to write without the block. The third thing, and this is what I'm so excited about, because I've just been reading more about it. I've always heard that you can get more done if you better a situation. So if you have something that you kind of don't like to do, you either got to get rid of it, you got to make it better. Yeah, I mean, those are the two things. You either like dump it and don't do it, you make it better, or I guess you suffer through it. But in game terminology, what they're talking about now is you can fun frame it. And there's some interesting research around procrastination and fun. And the thing is, we don't procrastinate things that we think are fun. So they had two groups of people come in, and half of them took a math quiz and half of them took a math game. And the people who took the math game were willing to kind of study up in the hour before. The people who are taking the math quiz procrastinated that studying till the very last minute. So the idea is, if we cast our writing as something fun, we're much more likely to do it and be successful. So if you're feeling like you're worried about writer's block or procrastination, find a way to fun frame your writing. Turn it into a game, or, you know, time yourself, or give yourself a reward. Things like that can help you get it done.
Wow. Those are brilliant, brilliant tips. I love it. So I think that leads me on to the next bit that I want to ask, because I think you have recently written that book about that uses the game theory to help people design a writing life and overcome their writer's block and be more productive. So could you say a few words about why it's so helpful, this gaming kind of idea and theory? What?
So the book is called Level Up, and level up is a term that comes from video gaming. So when you're, you know, when you complete a level, you level up to the next level. And the book is a series of quests. And so gamifying your life is really just about bringing game elements to daily challenges. So bringing all the tools and personality traits that you employ when you're playing a game, like Candy Crush or Monopoly or even Rummy, and you bring all of those skills and tools and strengths to regular daily challenges. So you're bringing your creativity, your curiosity, your resilience, and you know that when you play a game, you don't mind failing. You know, it'll come up and say you failed, and you're like, well, I'm going to try again. I'm gonna beat this level. And what scientists have found, is that some people get stronger after trauma. It's called post-traumatic growth. They also know that people who take on challenges tend to get stronger, and that's called post-ecstatic growth. And any kind of challenge like writing a book, running a marathon, quitting smoking, moving, can help you experience growth without the trauma. So it was these ideas that really got me excited about supporting writers using game technology. And so I invite writers to, first of all, define their epic win. So what would a big win look like for you? Would it be, writing your book in the next 90 days? Would it be just making sure you had a daily writing schedule, or creating weekly content for your business? And then realizing, as we talked about earlier in our conversation, that you can't run a marathon without small steps. You need to set up little quests for yourself. So stepping stones that get you from here to the end of your epic win. So you're always doing these kind of small quests small wins, small challenges. And that's what the book is really a series of small challenges. So let's say your epic win is completing a draft of a book by the end of November. Then you're going to give yourself little challenges every week, like writing 500 words a day, or, writing 20 minutes 5 times a week. And then you start doing things to make it like a game. So you get a secret identity that's based on your strengths. So you're a super word weaver, or whatever. And I have, you can't see them here, but I have crowns and little wands and things like that to help me.
Amazing.
With my secret identity. And then you identify allies, because you need people, you need a sidekick. You need people who are going to support you in your endeavor. And then you name the villains, who's going to get in your way. And it might be distractions. It might be people, it might be a pet. And then you do something super important, which is to list the power-ups, the stuff that's going to give you the energy or the extra boost to get through the game. And that can be things like exercising, or even looking at pictures of baby animals, taking naps, doing repetitive activities. All of those things give us that little bit of energy. And finally, you identify rewards. And so you know that at the end of every quest, you get a reward. And at the end of the big epic win, you get a bigger reward. And so by using all of these tools every day, you're able to tackle challenges. And of course, I use it with writing. I've also used it with exercise. I've also used it to deal with, emotional challenges like anxiety, and, fear of I'm a big introvert. So like getting out there and networking is kind of like, So if I give myself a challenge, like, okay, I challenge you to talk to 3 people before they talk to you, to go up. And then if you do that, you can collect your reward at the end. And that can be kind of fun.
Yes. I'm thinking exactly this thing is it's so you applied it for writers in your book, but really we can apply it anywhere in life. It feels like this big mountain.
Yes.
Because it makes us choose little steps that's doable, and we bring in the fun, because so often in life when we have a big goal or something, it starts feeling like a very hard, effortful work thing, and it's no longer fun. And gosh, who wants a life like that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm all about more fun. And honestly, if you can get a costume to make it,
I love it.
I'm all for that.
I love it. Please, I'd love to see your crown one day. I
will show you someday.
That is amazing. And just from my experience, we just talked before we started recording about I'm learning languages, and so I use this gamifying app to help me do my little bits every day. And I just have to do 10 minutes a day, and it keeps me in the game. And every day I think, I don't want to lose my streak. So I'm just going to do today as well. I'm really tired now, but I'll just do that little bit. And so in all the little bits, eventually we get to learn a language. So it really is effective in any area. And I love that you wrote a book, using these strategies.
Thank you.
Rochelle, anything else from your side? Please share your website again.
My website is writenowcoach.com, WRITE nowcoach.com. And I guess I just say to people to think about the next best step and take that. And if you get stuck, it's a matter of kind of figuring out how to get unstuck. Don't throw up your hands and say, it's about me, I'm a failure. It's usually just about tweaking the situation. So get your gameplay hat on and figure out how you can beat the game.
Yeah, I love that. What a can-do attitude. It just feels so good to me. And thank you. This conversation was so fun and enlightening and inspiring. I'm going to go off and start some writing now. I feel very, very excited about making it into small bits. So thanks, Rochelle, for sharing your wisdom and your experience and expertise with us.
Well, thanks so much for having me. It's been delightful to talk to you.
Thank you. And to all our listeners, thank you so much for spending your precious time with us.